project? A project is a temporary endeavor designed to produce a unique product, result, service, or result with a defined beginning and end. Project management is the discipline of initiating, planning, executing, controlling, and closing the work of a team to achieve specific goals and meet specific success criteria. Get the job done on time and within the budget. Developing your game plan. How to plan project outcomes, activities, schedules, and resources. 1. What is project management? 2. What are you trying to accomplish? Why? 3. How can you go from here to there? 4. When do you want this done? 5. How can you estimate resource requirements? Defining your project and developing your game plan. Projects may involve many people or just you. Be planned formally or informally. Be tracked formally or informally. Be performed for external or internal clients and customers. Be defined by a legal contract or an informal agreement. Be business-related or personal.
What you need to know about your lowest level activities, the required resources, people, funds, etc. No? Immediate predecessors, activities that must be completed right before the activity you're considering can be started. Then, immediate successors, activities that can be started as soon as the activity you're considering is finished. Analyzing schedule possibilities, the total time required to perform a group of activities depends on the following: duration, how long each individual activity will take, and the sequence, the order in which you perform the activities. Drawing the network diagrams, a flowchart that illustrates the order in which you will perform the activities in your project. This gives you the chance to try out different project strategies before actually performing the work. Network diagrams include 3 elements. Tingnan natin. First, the event. Ito yung event, kunyari, inauguration of gano'n, no? Then, activity, the specific, naman yan, na para paghahanda o para makarating ka doon, no? So, work required to move from one event to the other. Activities take time and consume resources. They're described by the action verbs like design electrical power system. Okay. Span time. The actual calendar time required to complete an activity, also called duration or elapsed time. The amount of work, effort required to people's availability, whether 2 or more people can work on the activity at the same time, all affect the activity's span time. Okay, so network diagram formats, activity and the arrow. Ayan. You have the precedence diagram, dependency diagram, and the PERT. Doon sa PERT CPM. Okay? Yan natin yung mga samples niya. Ayan. So, event. Ito yung event, yung letter A. Milestone or deliverable. And then, ito event din yung B. Pero, A and B are events. And then, ito yung time duration. Okay? And yung time duration at saka kung ano yung description ng activity na yan. So, activity and the arrow approach. A circle represents the event. A line with an arrowhead represents an activity. And the letter T represents the time. So, 2 weeks, 1 day, 24 hours, ganyan. Activity in the box approach. So, you have event, letter A and letter B, and the time. Yan. And what is the description of the activity? Activity and the arrow, again, A and B. Yan. So, ito yung event and the activity. Okay? So, and then here is a longer one, no? 2 rules to draw and interpret your network diagram. Rule 1. After you finish an activity or reach an event, you can proceed to the next activity or event, as indicated by arrows, leaving from the activity or event. Rule 2. To be able to start the activity or reach an event, you must complete all activities and reach all events from which arrows entering the activity or event emanate. Yan. So, start, activity 1, activity 2, end. Tapos, ito naman yung another path, kung tawagin, activity 3, 4, and 5. Oh. Pero si activity 1, kailangan din ni activity 5. Yan. Kaya, yan yung arrow na yan. Bago pumunta rito. Yan. So, activities required for your picnic at the lake. Ito yung sample niya, picnic at the lake. Load car. Sino mag-load? You and your friend. Then, get money from the bank. You. Dadang kayo sa ATM. Make egg sandwich. Your friend. Babaunin. Drive to the lake. You and your friend. Decide which lake. You and your friend. Diba? Lake ang sabi niya. So, Laguna Lake. Malayo, no? Okay. Buy gasoline. That is when you drive. Diba? Boil eggs. Your friend. So, ikaw driver ka siguro. Okay? Then, next slide. Load car, intermediate predecessor. Make egg sandwich. Drive to lake. Decide which lake. Buy gasoline. Yan natin. So, ito na siya. Start. Decide which lake. Get money. Buy gasoline. Load car. Sasakay na kayo. Mag-drive na kayo papunta doon. Si friend mo naman, naatasan siya na magluto ng baon. Boil eggs. Make sandwich. Sasakay na. Drive na kayo papunta doon. Very simple, ano? Anyway, activity and the arrow front, ito pa rin. Decide which lake. Buy gasoline. Gasoline purchase. Load to car. Drive to lake. Boil eggs. Make sandwich. Then, sakay na kayo. Sakay. Punta na sa lake. Okay? Developing your project schedule. Describe your project objectives, constraints, and assumption. Detail your project activities. Identify immediate predecessors for all activities. Estimate span times. Identify any intermediate final dates must be met. Identify all activities or events outside of your project that affect performance of your project. Draw your network diagram. Analyze your project's network diagram to determine the identity and length of all critical paths and the slack times of non-critical paths. Then, meeting and establish. Recheck original span time estimates. Make sure the activity work is clearly described. If past performance used as a guide for developing span times, recheck to be sure all aspects of your current situation are the same as the situation in which your estimates are based. Ask other experts to review and validate your estimates. Ask the people who actually be doing the work and these activities. Okay. Consider using more experienced personnel. So, yan sinasabi ko kanina sa beginning pa lang, mahalaga yung ang mga kasama mo sa team, medyo mas malalim ang experience. Kasi yung bagito, sasagot lang sa'yo, ay, di ko alam yan. So, yon. Yung bagito, ano lang yun, dapat siya lang yung taga-timpla kape. taga-abot, taga-timpla. Habang nagtitimpla siya, ayun, na-expose siya sa project. Hanggang sa next project, medyo malalaman na niya yung gagawin niya. Consider different strategies for performing them. Example, if you are going to do work internally, consider contracting it out or vice versa. Consider removing them from the critical path by doing them in parallel with one or more other critical path activities. So, fast tracking yun. How to shorten the project schedule. Find the critical path and reduce its time until a second path becomes critical. Continue to shorten both critical paths and and by the same amount until the third path becomes critical. Continue to shorten all the three by the same amount until the fourth path becomes critical, and so on. So, hanggang sa puro maigsi na sila lahat. The price to pay for fast tracking. Increased planning time. You have to detail precisely all the activities and their interrelationships. You can't afford to make mistakes. Increased risk and cost. The list of assumptions grows and it becomes more likely that one or more of the assumptions will not come to pass. So, sobra yun. So, kaya delikado. No? So, activity in the bus, tingnan natin. Start, decide which lake, get money, buy gasoline, load car, drive lake, so on. Tingnan natin ito. Decide which lake, boil eggs, load car, tapos make sandwiches, nasa kotse siya, no? Mukhang malabo, no? Okay. So, pero pwede, no? Kasi ito 5 plus 10, 5 plus 10, 15, ito 10. So, ito yung critical. Oh. Pag itong sandwich dito mo pinagawa, 20. Okay? Ayan natin. So, 10, ito driving is, So, ang sinasabi niya, habang nagda-drive siya, ginagawa naman yung sandwich, which is 10. Pero, siyempre, pag nagda-drive ka, hindi na siguro 10 minutes yung paggawa ng sandwich. Hindi katulad pag doon mo ginagawa sa kusina. Diba? Anyway, natin. Then, start. Get money. Start, buy gasoline, ready to car. Get money. Sinong kukuhang money? Ikaw bibili gasoline. ATM next. So yung ATM nakatabi na yung gas station, sabi niya. So, dapat pala alam mo yung kung saan yun. Yung gas station na may ATM para pwede mong sabayin. Boil eggs, load car, saka pala mag-decide which lake. Mahirap to. Kasi kunyari, buti kung nandun ka sa San Pablo na merong 7 lakes, di ba? Kung magde-decide ka kung lake, Laguna Lake ka ba o dun sa Taal Lake ka pupunta, manggagaling ka Metro Manila. So, magkaiba yung layo. Di ba? Anyway, ang gulo, no? Prepare to boil eggs. Then, boil eggs in hot water. Finish making sandwiches. Perform initial steps to make sandwiches. In-analyze niya yung isang path, no? Then, tingnan natin, Parang tumigil yata tayo. Tuloy pa rin. Akala ko tumigil Okay. So, activities report. Load car, get money, makeup. Naka-matrix siya, pero dito hindi mo makita yung talagang dun sa diagram mo siya makikita kung saan yung critical path Okay. Anyway, so get money and then 5 minutes. Then get gas 10 to 11 minutes. Boil eggs is 10 minutes. Decide which lake, mabilis lang pag nag-uusap kayo. So mga 2.5 to 3 minutes. Load to car 5 minutes, matagal nga And then make egg sandwiches 10 minutes. And then means habang nagda-drive doon gumagawa ng sandwich. About span times estimates, unrealistically short span time estimates can actually cause an activity to take longer because not identifying the reasons why an activity will take a certain amount of time makes it difficult for you to come up with strategies that may reduce time. If people believe estimates are totally unrealistic, they won't even try to meet them. Describing the components of an activity before estimating an activity span time. Work, physical, and mental activities performed by people. work performed by non-human resources, machines. Ito, accurate. Accurate pag machines. Then, processes, physical and chemical reactions, concrete curing. Yan. Time delays, typically due to unavailability of resources. Yan, sinasabi ko kanina na walang available, so antime mo pa yung delivery. Improving span time estimates, define your activities clearly. Minimize the use of technical jargon and describe associated work processes fully. Subdivide your activities until you estimate that your lowest level activities will take 2 weeks or less. Define activity start and end points clearly. Minimize the use of fudge factors. Fudge factors are the amount of time you add to your best estimate of span time, just to be safe. Resource characteristics needed to support the project. You need personnel, manpower, or equipment or machine, facilities, like telecom, etc. Raw materials, then information, pondo, pera. For each of these, determine its capacity. Productivity, unit time, then availability, when on the calendar will a resource be available. So, ito manpower as carb. Yung S-carb, madalas, gumagawa ka ng bar chart at titignan mo saan yung weighted performance, no? Ito yung problema lang nito pagka yung PowerPoint step by step to kaso hindi naman nag-work yung PowerPoint. Anyway, yung yellow is the ideal S-curve. Yan, hindi makita. Dito pa ganun siya pag ganun yan siya, pag ganun. Tapos pag ganun. Yan. Medyo usually swabe yung pagka-S niya. Ganun siya. Ang S-curve sa construction, mabagal sa simula. Slow take-off, sabi nila Kaya mabagal. Tapos, sa bandang gitna, bibilis siya. Aarangkada at pag malapit na matapos, babagal ulit. So, yun yung typical construction S-curve. Ngayon, itong kulay red na S-curve, ito yung magiging actual na S-curve.
10 questions to help you plan your project. 1. Why is your project being done? 2. Whom will you need to get involved? 3. What results will you produce? 4. What constraints will you satisfy? 5. What assumptions are you making? 6. What work must be done? 7. When will you start and end each activity? 8. Who will perform the project work? 9. What other resources will you need? 10. What could go wrong? 10 ways to hold people accountable. 1. Involve people who have authority. 2. Be specific regarding end results, time frames, and expected levels of effort. 3. Get a commitment. 4. Put it in writing. 5. Emphasize the urgency and importance of the assignment. 6. Tell others about the person's commitment. 7. Agree on a plan for monitoring the person's work. 8. Monitor the person's work. 9. Always acknowledge good performance. 10. Act as if you have the authority.
Okay, so yan yung mga, when you are planning, yan yung mga tanong. Okay? 10 ways to hold people accountable. Okay, number 1, involve people who really have authority. Naku, mabigat pag puro authority pala ito. But anyway, so ang ibig sabihin yung medyo may puwersa, may determinasyon na malakas. Pag sinabi lang, tapusin ko yan, tatapos niya talaga. Be specific regarding end results, time frames, and expected levels of effort. Get commitment. Sabi, tapusin mo yan parang gano'n. Put it in writing. So, naka-memorandum daw. Hindi pwedeng verbal lang. Baka sabihin, hindi ko narinig. Hindi mo sinabi. Patay na. Away. Emphasize the urgency and importance of the assignment. Putting it in writing is one way of putting that importance. Diba? Number 6, tell others about the person's commitment. Ina-announce mo sa meeting na nag-commit siya na tapusin yun. Agree on a plan for monitoring the person's work. Then number 8, monitor the person's work. Okay. Minomonitor mo siya, naalalayan mo, tinutulungan mo rin. Number 9, always acknowledge good performance. Ito yung sinasabi ko nila. Pagka at the end of project, in-acknowledge mo yan. Binigyan mo yung mga citation o awards. Ay nako, sa susunod, sabi ko nga sa'yo, bibilisan din yan. Gagawin din yan ng maayos. Act as if you have the authority. Yan, yung sinasabi ko, natapusin mo yan, ha? Okay. Medyo may panakot konti, di ba? That 10 steps to getting your project back on track. Ito pagka nadidelay ka, no? Nadidelay. Tingnan natin. Determine why your project got off track. Anong dahilan na na-delay? Palagay mo, hindi available yung isang material, di ba? Hindi available. So, ang option mo is alternate, di ba? Ano yung alternate? Readily available ba sa merkado yung alternate material na yan? Kumuha na ng sample, pa-aprobahan ka agad para makahabol ka. So, yun. Number 2, reaffirm your key drivers. Meaning to say, yung mga nagpupus na members sa team mo. No? Hindi yung driver sa kotse. Reaffirm your key objectives. Yan. So, nangyari, kailangan matapos yung solar rooftop by the end of the month para makakuha kagad ng savings. Yan. Reaffirm the activities remaining to be done. Okay? Kung ano pang hindi natatapos. Reaffirm roles and responsibilities. Parang kinukulit mo sila, no? Okay. Develop a viable schedule. Yun, huwag ka delay na para makabalik ka, gagawa kang paraan. Usually, ang ibang paraan pa dyan is magpapatrabaho ka sa gabi. Magpapa-overtime ka, di ba? Para makahabol ka. Kung work-related yung delay. Pero kung mga delivery, gano'n din eh. Even, gagawa kang paraan para mapabilis mo talaga, no? Work longer time or work overtime. You can even work on Sundays. Kung dun sa schedule mo, hindi kasama Sundays, magpapatrabaho ka Sunday. Okay. Reaffirm your personal commitment. Sarili mo daw, assignment, no? Then, develop a risk management plan. Risk management plan. Hold a mid-course kick-off session. Parang ball session. Hold the ball session. Teka, usap tayo para mahabol natin. Parang gano'n. Then, parang yung ginagawa sa basketball, di ba? Yung coach, tatawagin niya yung last 2 minutes, tawagin niya yung mga team player niya. Gagawin natin yun. So, mag-strategize para makahabol, di ba? Number 10, closely monitor and control performance for the remainder of the project. Yan. Lalo mo nang tutukan yan pag gaganyan na. Okay? 10 tips for being better project manager. Be a why person. So, ibig sabihin siguro pala tanong, why? Why? So, pag nag-why ka kasi, tinatanong mo why, malalaman mo yung mga yung mga dahilan, yung mga rason, di ba? So, pag alam mo rason, makaka-formulate ka ng solusyon. Okay? Be a can-do person. Kaya ko yan. Yung malakas ang paniniwala na magawa niya. Do not assume. Kasi nga naman, kung assume ka ng assume, tapos hindi nangyari, di patay ka, di ba? Say what you mean. Mean what you say. So, kailangan daw talaga, kung anong sinabi mo, yun daw susundin, di ba? View people as allies, not adversaries. So, yun, yung mga kaibigan lang dyan. Kaya nga sinasabi natin kanina yung good relationship, kaya yung mga team building efforts na sinasabi ko, papasok dito yun eh. Respect other people. Yes, syempre, no? Think of the big picture. Meaning to say, the end result na makuha mo yung magawa nyo, malaking tulong sa management. Pag na-attain yun, makikinabang lahat. Think detail. Think detail naman, yung mga specific details para yung mga bulaga ma-reduce sila, no? Kasi pag na-detalye mo yan, mo lahat detalye, lahat meron detalye, madaling sundan yung plano. Acknowledge good performance. Nasabi na natin yan kanina. Be both a manager and a leader. Okay. So, leader kasi yung medyo very strong yung determination. At ipapakita mo na working leader ka, no? Okay. In summary, avoiding the most common project pitfalls: vague objectives, missing assumptions, commitments not in writing, audiences overlook, team member commitment, hold people accountable, backing into project schedules, failure to define and sustain team identity, insufficient monitoring, no formal risk identification management, poor communication, no organized approach to evaluating the micro-producing and requested changes, failure to improve your performance on the next project. So, hindi ka natuto, na-delay ka na doon, dito, madidelay ka ulit. Pag hindi mo pinag-aralan yung anong naging kakulangan doon sa nakaraang project. Okay, developing meaningful project objectives, focus on outcomes rather than on activities, use clear language, make sure that every objective has at least one measure, make sure every measure has at least one performance target, make sure every objective is time specific, make sure it's possible to achieve each objective. Check with all the project drivers to be sure you've identified with their expectations. Developing achievable schedules, identify all required activities. Break activities down into sufficient detail. Always consider both duration and interdependencies. Factor in resource availability, recognize and record all assumptions, re-examine your original schedule after your project is approved, but before you start work on it. Keep in mind that a duration estimate is your best sense of how long an activity will take to perform, as opposed to how long people want the activity to take. Consider the impact of other projects and work activities that are going on at the same time your project. Kung minsan may kasabay na project nga naman, maapektuhan yung project mo, no? Maaaring ma-delay pag lalo na yung resources common, di ba? Or equipment are common to both projects. Develop contingency plans for high-risk activities. Ayan, sinasabi natin kanina, kung hindi available to, dapat pwede rito. Kaya mga ganun ka. Distinguish, improving your personal estimates. Distinguish between person effort and duration. Describe clearly the work to be done on all activities. Specify personal requirements by needed skills and knowledge. Revise your estimates if necessary after people have actually been assigned to your team. When estimating the work effort required, consult the people who will be performing the activities. Consider your past experience with similar activities. Factor on productivity, availability, and efficiency. To support your future estimates, record the work effort actually invested in activities. Then, eliciting and sustaining commitment, clarify how your project will benefit the organization and individual team members. Involve team members in planning process. Demonstrate to the people that the plan is feasible. Address issues, concerns, and questions promptly and openly. Provide frequent and meaningful feedback on project progress and people's performance. Recognize people's contributions. Again, kanina, paulit-ulit yan yung pag nirecognize mo sila sa next project, makikinabang ka. Encourage team members to get to know each other. Focus on people's strengths rather than their limitations. Then, communicating effectively. Keep project meetings to 1 hour or less. Always prepare and distribute minutes of meetings via email. Highlight important information on the first page of a report. Don't assume. Reinforce important messages by using different media. So, different media, meaning to say email, messenger, Viber, etc. Always verify with people what they've received your communication and understand the message. Use meetings to brainstorm, explain important information, and reinforce relationships. Yan, tapos na. Howard Con, salamat sir. Nice topic. Oh, maganda talaga to. Yun lang, sometimes, pag hindi ka pa na-involved sa project management, as being the project manager, talagang yung mga diskusyon, medyo hindi pa kwan. Pero, siguro kayo, yung, lalo na yung mga may experience dyan, nakaka-relate na kayong konti dyan sa mga iba't ibang items dyan, di ba? So, anyway, ang maganda nito ay meron na tayong uploaded. You can always go back to it. And then, of course, those who may want to get a copy of the PDF, yun, we'll be providing them sa inyo para lalo nyong mabalik-balikan in the future if you will be involved in critical project management. Siyempre, yung alam ko, karamihan sa inyo, team player pero with knowledge on this, you can use it, paminsan-minsan balik-balikan mo para ma-check mo kung lalo na pagkasama ka sa isang teamwork, di ba? Ma-check mo kung anong pwede mong maaral kung minsan sa isang project where kunyari may delay, makapag-isip ka kung ganito dapat yun. So, yun. So, you become an important part of the team that can contribute to the necessary or successful completion of the project later on, di ba?